Hi everyone, Rusty here, and in this video we're gonna talk about demonstrative pronouns, pronomes demonstrativos in Portuguese. I'm going to divide them into three groups, being the first composed by este, esta, and isto, and they basically mean this. Este is masculine, esta is feminine, and isto is invariant. So for the first two you have plural, estes and estas, and isto doesn't have plural because it's invariant when you don't specify the gender of the noun you're referring to. The second is composed by esse, essa, and isso, and the same rule applies, and it usually means that. And the third group is composed by aquele, aquela, and aquilo, and they also mean that. So let's see how they behave when you're talking different situations. So as a general rule, we have the first group. When you use the first group, we refer to something that is close to the person who's talking, close in space or time. The second group refers to something that is either far from the person who's talking or close to the person who's listening. And the third group refers to something that is far from both. So let's talk about them individually. Este, esta, isto. In space, when it's close to you. So I could say, isto vai para o lixo. This goes to trash. Because this is close to me, I use isto. I could say, isto vai para o lixo, or esta caneta vai para o lixo. This pen goes to trash. In time, when you use this, we are normally referring to something in the present or something that is still going on. So, for example, esta semana vamos estudar gramática. This week, we're going to study grammar. So, because it's happening this week, it's an ongoing activity, we use esta semana. And the third application is in writing. So we use the first group when you're referring to something that is still to be mentioned. For example, estes são os temas de pesquisa: meio ambiente e saúde. These are the research topics: environment and health. We also use the first group in writing when you're referring to the last mentioned noun. For example, hoje encontrei João e Maria. Esta é uma atriz e aquele é músico. Today I met John and Mary. This is or she is a singer and that is a musician. In the second group, esse, essa, isso, we normally refer to something that is close to the person who's listening. So we could ask, esse livro é seu? Is that book yours? If the book is close to the person who's talking. When it comes to time, we use the words in the second group to refer to something that took place in the near past or near future. For example, we could say, passamos esse último verão em Cuba. We spent this past summer in Cuba. And in writing, we use esse, essa, isso when you're talking about that was mentioned earlier. So, using the same example, we could say meio ambiente e saúde. Esses foram os temas de pesquisa. Environment and health. These were the research topics. And last but not least, we have aquele, aquela, aquilo. First example, you could be watching a match with your friend and you could say, aquele é o melhor jogador. That is the best player, because the player is far from both of you. When it comes to time, aquele, aquela, and aquilo refer to something that happened in a distant past. So we could say, aquela viagem ao Japão foi inesquecível. That trip to Japan was unforgettable. when you say something like this, you normally mean that that trip happened a long time ago. So if you're talking about two things, aquilo refers to the thing that you mentioned first. When I said, encontrei João e Maria, esta cantora e aquele músico, I use aquele to refer to João, the first person I talked about. There are also some alternative forms of these words. For example, if you need to use a preposition, esse can become desse or nesse. For example, nesses últimos anos, in these past years. Or, eu gosto desta caneta, I like this pen. Because the verb gostar, to like, requires the preposition de. Eu gosto de alguma coisa. I like something, but you need the preposition in the middle. With all that being said, I would like to add that it is very common to see people only using esse, essa, and isso, and forgetting about the rules about este, esta, and isto, at least here in Brazil and in colloquial context. So if you're talking to a friend and you don't know whether to use isso or isto, don't beat yourself up. It's okay to use either one in colloquial situations, at least here in Brazil. But if you're referring to something far, always remember to use aquele, aquela, and aquilo. That's it. I will see you in the next lesson. Ciao, ciao.